When we talk about power, we want to say all of the above. Yes for nuclear, yes for wind, yes for solar, yes for green power. You want to say yes. Nuclear has proven to be the safest, the cleanest, and not only do I not just sit back and say, oh, I'm just going to take their word for it. I've taken 2 tours myself of the plant. I've been in the cooling canals, in a boat in the cooling canals to see for myself. There needs to be an all of the above approach, because I don't think any one of us want to see some more offshore drilling right off the coast that's going to really, really endanger not just the coastal lines, but including the tourism industry, the great fiscal impact, and the environmental impact. So yes to nuclear, yes to wind, yes to solar, yes to all forms of energy, clean energy, alternative sources of fuels. So the answer would be yes to that and yes to all forms of energy. People cannot afford to have any more expensive sources of power, and nuclear is the cleanest and safest and the cheapest. So yes to that and all of the above. We must look at all forms of energy. Thank you.
I know that we are investing a great deal of money into the nuclear plant, and I, for one, am very concerned about it. I know that there has been some proof that there is an increase in the need for power, but with this humongous amount of money that is going to be invested into the nuclear plant, first of all, I would like to see FPL be less foolish with their investment of the money. They are right now trying to think of the immediate money gratification and not of the long-term goal. For example, when we're using purple water, they're not using purple water, and I wish that they would. The second thing is that I really think that if we were to use that money right now, if it were to be used for retrofitting homes instead of being used for the investment in the nuclear plant, I think that we would create so many more jobs, and that's where I would like to see the money going.
If I may just put a finer point on it. So do you think, though, that use of nuclear power should be curbed in South Florida?
I would like to see that money going towards retrofitting homes instead. I think we have a great deal of unemployment, and if we were to use all that money towards that, where we would do our windows, solar panels, creating a whole new industry of solar panels, and we were to do all that, that investment alone would put all those people back to work. That's where our investment needs to go, into a whole new industry. And in addition to that, let's talk about biofuels. Let's talk about a whole new agricultural industry. That's what we need to be talking about. Instead, we're investing in more nuclear. And I don't trust that FPL is necessarily doing all, batting all their eyes.
Well, FPL talks about the right tree in the right place. How about the right power source in the right place? And I think the main problem with the FPL and expanding the plant is the surrounding area is not what it used to be. There was another candidate as well as me down there at the nuclear regulatory hearing down in Homestead. I appeared with fellow mayors Lerner and Vrooman, and we presented some different concerns to this. When they talked about 800 jobs being created by nuclear power, one of the things I found out, we raised an issue that they hadn't heard of before, and we talk about 800 jobs. We've all been working hard along here to basically make a more sustainable community. And I'm proud of my record on 2 things. One, trying to do proper infill development on US 1, and the second thing is the green corridor. And one of the things we've got to do is you don't need additional power plants if you can stretch and conserve that power. And there's 2 ways to do that. Number 1, let's make the lines more efficient so you don't have the power loss through the transmission. And number 2, let's stretch the capacity. And one of the things we've done, we've actually worked on this, the green corridor, which is going to create jobs. He's going to tell me to tighten up on it, but I want to finish up on the green corridor real quick because it's so important. It's going to create jobs for people to retrofit. It's going to reduce the demand for additional power to build the station. But there's too many environmental issues down there, apart from the safety issues, for nuclear power. So it's not the right place for that nuclear power plant.
2 points have been brought up, which are very good. Just now, about not the right place at the right time. I'm part of an effort of others in this room that are trying to stave off these expansions because Albert has written about it, Katie has written about it. There are just too many questions right now. So the first thing is that it seems to be that it's not the right place to do it. The second thing is, as was brought up, look into alternative sources for the power and be able to compare. And there are many different ways, as it's already been expressed, of those alternative fuel sources. But above all, with all of this, is the idea that people are rushing into decisions before things can be thoroughly thought out. And that's the bottom line. We may have a question later, and I haven't had the 20 seconds yet, so I may be able to get this in, about the review of the CDMP, this plan that's coming up for review. It just doesn't make sense to me to do it right now when you know that the results of the 2010 census is coming up, and then we have a better idea of how many people we're dealing with.
As things stand now, your position on nuclear power?
Oh yeah, I promote it, but in the right place at the right time. And this expansion down at Turkey Point right now is not the right place.
Gene and I were at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's hearings in Homestead, and Gene did speak out along with the mayors against the power lines running up the US 1 corridor and through my neighborhood on 77th Avenue. Those power lines are in the wrong place. I was the only person who spoke from this race opposed to the power plants 6 and 7 completely. I'm not an opponent to nuclear power. I am opponent to the way this issue has been foisted upon us. And I want to tell you, I strongly advise you to vote no on County Question 3. We need the chance to break the monopoly that FPL has on this county. It's simply wrong. We cannot trust, unfortunately, that the numbers about demand are correct, because whistleblowers have let the news media know from inside Florida Power and Light that what they're being forced to report is not true. There's one thing that really makes me question Florida Power and Light's effort with the 6 and 7 more than anything else, and that is the help that I got from an awful lot of staff in building our greenhouse. More on the greenhouse at electalbert.com. We said, why would FPL want to help us build this house? It's all about not paying FPL so much money. Well, they said, Albert, you don't understand. If everyone built like you, we'd never need to build another power plant. Now, I decided right then and there to remember what she said. We need to have a true cost-benefit analysis that says, if we're going to invest $30 billion of our own money in an asset that they're going to own, let's see if there's a way to spend it on ourselves, invest in ourselves instead.
All right. As